Let me start because of shortage. Um, I'm really honored to be invited to contribute in this symposium, and I'd like to express my appreciation to Mr. Mehrdad Arabestani School of Tardid. This event happened. So, the title of my lecture is Intersectionality of Genes and Language. So, for this, I'm going to reflect on the nexus between biological evolution and the world of language. As we delve into intersectionality of genes and language, we embark on a journey that unveils the intricate interaction between our evolutionary history and the symbolic register that defines our humanity. Without any claim of comprehensive discussion, here I only try to point out this intersectionality and its consequences through some examples. Uh, Please, the next slide. Okay, we can go ahead. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Language, a remarkable product of our biological evolution, stands as the hallmark that distinguishes us, Homo sapiens, from other primates. It transcends a mere tool. It transcends a mere tool for communication, representing a distinct dimension in our evolutionary journey, one that surpasses the conventional survival of the fittest paradigm. The homogeneous evolution over about 2 million years culminated in the appearance of Homo sapiens approximately 300,000 years ago. Since the homogeneous includes animals that live in group in small face-to-face communities, the evolution was initially tailored for survival in these small groups. Our genetic makeup underwent a profound shift as human societies expanded with the advent of civilization around 7,500 years ago, a relatively short span of time compared to the genus' long evolutionary course. Next slide, please. What distinguishes us from our primate kin is our enlarged and complex brains and their capability to develop a highly abstract symbolic order or language. This level of language capability marks the key divergence between humans and other primates. This linguistic evolution is the cornerstone of our uniqueness and a testament to the transformative power of language as it intertwines with our genetic destiny. Next, please. While genetics lays the foundation for the human body, language significantly influences the trajectory of human evolution. Language shapes collective identities through stories that define values and behaviors that can alter the course of evolution. Next slide, please. Homo sapiens are the storytellers of the genus. Consider the narratives we weave through language. We craft stories that form collective identities, defining values and behaviors. Religion, nationality, church, or ummah are not mere tales, but powerful discourses that unite us as and determines our responses to the environment. Joseph Henrich's groundbreaking work, The Weirdest People of the World, unveils how the trajectory of our evolution can deviate from the genetic blueprint through the power of stories. Henry's exploration of a seemingly simple edict, don't marry your cousin, is a captivating saga of linguistic intervention. This rule, the rule of don't marry your cousin, promulgated by unknown early church fathers, unleashed a cascade of changes, starting from replacing endogamy with exogamy, and the result will be replacing group and tribal bonds with individual-centered networks. States replaced tribes, science overtook law, and law superseded custom, a transformative journey that resulted in societies and people that were weird, according to Heinrich, which is an acronym for Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic. They are weird, according to Heinrich, because they are different from the majority of societies in the world who are living inside other stories. Next slide, please. Yet, the shadow of our tribal past still haunt our societies through behaviors such as ethnocentrism and nepotism. Rooted in our evolution in small communities, they could pose threats to our survival in an era marked by widespread violence and environmental crisis. While these behaviors might have had evolutionary advantages in specific contexts, it's crucial to note that human societies have evolved to be highly diverse, and cultural, legal, and ethical systems often seek to mitigate the negative aspects of ethnocentrism and nepotism. Contemporary societies strive for principles such as fairness, justice, and equal opportunity, even when these may run counter to some aspects of our evolutionary past. We have an inherent tendency to distinguish and prioritize in-group over out-group in a face-to-face small community, a tendency encoded in our genetic throughout the procedure of evolution that makes us support our kin and fellow small group members over the outgroup. However, the advent of civilization in around 7,500 years ago required new stories to integrate people into the bigger communities. Instead of stories about common ancestors that is associated with tribal identity, new stories emerge around common beliefs, common loyalty, and the common cause or the common political entity and so on that is they lay the ground for the identities like church, ummah, or nationality, or class, and even global identities. Identifying with a big community requires members who never see each other but identify themselves in an imagined community that is based on a story, surpassing the face-to-face community of small groups in early human history. Actually, these stories are the discourses and that can or enable the people to identify themselves inside these stories and identify themselves as the member of a big community, an imagined community. Ethnocentrism may once have been adaptive to human survival by reinforcing in-group commitment, solidarity, cooperation, and preserving scarce resources. In the same way, nepotism and mistrust toward strangers could have helped protect the group integrity. However, in an era of worldwide prevalence of violence, sectarianism, and ethnic and nationalist conflicts, and intolerance, ethnocentric tendencies are potentially prone to fuel animosity and threaten human well being and survival on Earth. Nepotism may lead to familial oligarchies that do not necessarily favor the community's survival, and in most cases, deteriorate the situation by depriving the society of its meritorious members. From our post-tribal and pluralist perspective, and in an era where global threats are self-evident, we can readily see the need to attenuate ethnocentrism if the whole of humanity is to survive. In other words, some human traits, as the results of human evolution in small communities, may be maladaptive today and hurtful to human society. In the face of world war crises such as global warming, violence, intolerance, and mass migration, embracing comprehensive stories that transcend tribalism is a necessary cultural and discursive intervention, a beacon that may secure our collective future on Earth. Uh, the next slide, please. Another example that I want to take here is the example of epigenetics and how language is involved in the transmission of epigenetic adaptations. Epigenetic, the genetic adaptation to environment, is a well-known phenomenon. Language and communication can potentially play a role in transferring epigenetic modification to the next generation. However, the mechanisms involved are still an active area of investigation. It is suggested that the language and communication within the family or social group can contribute to the transmission of behaviors and cultural practices influenced by epigenetics in former generation. We can take as an example the high occurrence of diabetes and obesity among South Asians that resulted in what we can call the skinny fat body, low muscle mass and accumulation of fat around the waist. Beyond lifestyle factors, Dr. Mobin Sayed, um, medical doctor and radiologist, offers a historical lens to explain the high occurrence of diabetes among South Asians. According to him, South Asians enduring 31 famines during the British Raj in 18th and 19th century India, and they developed a starvation adapted genetic tendency to store fat. This adaptation surprisingly transferable to the next generation and become an evolutionary mismatch in the modern era of abundance. Remarkably, this genetic adaptation transcends biology, reaching into the realm of language and culture. Acculturation, a discursive procedure, passing down beliefs, practices, lifestyle, values, and fears and worries from one generation to the next, becomes a conduit for the inheritance of psychological trauma, such as the fear of starvation and hunger, and consequently lead to the persistence of the original epigenetic changes. The fact that surviving a single famine doubles the risk of diabetes and obesity in the next generation illustrates the profound impact of language and culture on our genetically encoded features. In fact, a culturally constructed situation such as colonialism causes an epigenetic effect, which in turn is transferred to the next generation through acculturation. And the last slide, please. Yeah. To recap, in one sentence, language itself, a product of biology, adds a dimension to biological evolution, that makes unprecedented complexities. Let us carry forward to understanding that our evolution is not solely written in our genes, but scripted in the narratives we articulate through language. In this intricate dance between our biological essence and cultural expression, we find the essence of our shared human experience. Well, thank you very much. So I think we don't